So we have this story of one girl has to sleep with her father for her to be able to get a pad when the month ends. So this was really hurting and torturing. Then we started a project of a pad for every girl. When this girl has this pad, there is no way her father is going to convince her that you need pads at the end of the month. Let's do it. We have helped stop that. It's not happening again. We feel like at least we've protected their dignity. They have their pads and still they still have their dignity.
Today, being the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, we will be talking about menstrual dignity and economic empowerment, community solutions to ending violence against young women. And today's special episode or edition features Agaba Esther, a Uganda social entrepreneur reshaping what protection and empowerment can look like at community level. Okay, so we are talking about elimination of violence against women on this International Day of this event. What does that really mean for the average African? When we talk about empowering them, when we talk about eliminating violence, just make it open or break it down to everyone, for everyone to understand.
In Uganda today, especially in the community where I do my work from, it is a very big day, especially to my organization Mwala, because today we have marked several milestones when it comes to the elimination of gender-based violence, and we do celebrate it a lot because, like where I am today, we have, I don't know how I can explain it, but we have very many women we have rescued from marriages, very many girls we have saved from gender-based violence. So today is a very great day and we celebrate it very much.
Wow, that's beautiful. Okay, so with what you're doing, the production of your parts, what experiences or observations have you made to recognize the connection between menstrual dignity and protection for young women?
I beg your pardon, I didn't get that very well.
Okay, so I'm talking about with what you're doing currently. We are asking from your experience or your observations, what have you recognized that connects menstrual dignity and protection for young women?
So, part of our work is in the refugee settlements. For example, we have a refugee settlement in Uganda called Nachivale, and currently we are running a project called A Pad for Every Girl in this settlement. So we've seen stories. When we go for these different trainings, we have time to talk to these girls. We move with our counselors. As the training is going on, we have a counselor speak to one of the girls or one by one and let them talk to her freely, let her counsel them. So we have this story of one girl has to sleep with her father for her to be able to get a pad when the month ends. So this was really hurting and torturing. Then we started a project of a pad for every girl. When this girl has this pad, there is no way her father is going to convince her that you need pads at the end of the month. Let's do it. We have helped stop that. It's not happening again. We feel like at least we've protected their dignity. They have their pads and still they still have their dignity. So yes.
Oh, that's a very sad story to hear. And well, part of it, I want to say a very big thank you to your organization for taking up this sort of issues. And hopefully the right and relevant authorities get knowledge of this, gets wind of this, so they can act decisively in order to deter future occurrences of things like this. So as a result of this first story you just mentioned, it's also possible that girls that suffered things like this and other girls that may have some form of shame in asking for menstrual products could be exercising some form of fear, and some might be walking around with stigma. So how can we take away this stigma and make it an open society for girls such as this to access this menstrual products without fear, without stigma, without shame?
Well, first of all, personally, I had that stigma. When I went to a shop to buy menstrual products and I find a man, I'll turn back and go look for a shop where there is a woman to serve me. Or if I am going to buy that pad or anything that I'm going to use for my menstruation, like tampons or what, I'll make sure I go with polythene bags that are not see-through, that no one will be able to know what have I bought. That even when I buy, I either go with my leather bag and I drop it inside so people cannot see what have I bought. But that is wrong. Menstruation is something that is so normal, and accessing these products should be so normal so that we can eliminate that fear in these girls. So I think communities like organizations should come out and break these barriers, like have these adverts running telling people, that telling these girls that menstruation is normal and nobody should be stigmatized to go to any shop to buy any menstrual products. And also we should have these organizations coming out, the government coming out to have projects where these girls are given these products for free. Like we have these other government projects whereby, like in our country today, we have very many projects running where these girls get other items, not pads. So if the government would come out and also have this a pad for every girl and give these pads to them, especially the reusable ones, where they will always use them for a period of 6 to 12 months, at least it would break some stigma. And and also if organizations or governments would create talks to visit these different schools and not only eliminate, like say we are only going to talk to the girls of this class. No, we are talking to all the students of, let's say, primary 6 to primary 7, involving the boys. Let them know that really menstruation is not a problem, it is something normal, and you're supposed to guide these girls. If your deskmate is a girl and maybe her period come on a day she was not ready for, and you are a boy, you are a neighbor, take off your sweater, give it to her, push her to the dormitory for her to be comfortable instead of tapping your fellow boys and laughing at her. So yes, that's what I feel like should be done.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, you mentioned something quite significant that I want you to expound on a little bit, and that's about the counterpart, who are the boys. They have friends who are girls, they have classmates who are girls, they have colleagues at the place of work who are girls. And sometimes when the girls or when the ladies, had to face the challenge of this specific period of time that comes within the month, the guys, some of them are not sensitive to it. So what kind of awareness do you think should be created out there so that they can be aware and extend a caring hand? And how can they extend this caring hand? Because it's quite a delicate and private thing for the women folk. So it doesn't appear like they are intruding into the privacy of the ladies. So how can they show some form of concern without intruding?
For a start, with Mwala, we have visited a few schools where we are talking to boys, specifically boys, not any girl, and we're talking about the issue of menstruation. Why were we doing that? We wanted to make sure that boys know it is something normal. And then we started a campaign. It was a pad for every girl from the boys. This is why we had the boys donate these pads, donate these tampons, donate all these things, and have a community, go to the community outside. We went to a school where the boys were the ones donating them. Then we went to the refugee settlement with the boys only. So we had these boys talk to the people in the community that we know what you're going through, we know what it means, and we're here to say we are okay with you, we understand what is going on, and please be comfortable. And these were the boys distributing the pads to the girls. So I feel like if we can expose the menstruation dignity more to the opposite sex, most especially the men, let them embrace it more, involve them in these activities. I know a friend who owns an organization that does that specifically. It produces reusable pads for these girls. So if they can get more involved in the process, I feel like with time, it's going to be something very normal, and it will not feel like they're intruding on our privacy.
All right, thank you very much, Esther. So I want to state clearly from research, you see that one of the drivers of violence against women is poverty, dependence on others for survival, unequal access to resources, and the list go on and on and on and on. How do we make women have access, quality access to resources? How do we make them to be less dependent on men? Because right now, we are now even moving into a trend where young girls even tell you that it is the duty of a boy to provide all my needs. to come and give me everything. Now, if we are moving into that kind of society and domestic violence or violence against women and the girl child is increasing on daily basis as a result of that, or one of the reasons anyways, how do we change the mindset that a girl can actually be independent of herself instead of pushing all her needs to a man or to someone else?
Well, that's a good question. Today we are in a community in Nachi Valley. That's where I am. That's why I think I was late because we were having some trainings outside. And that's exactly what we are talking about. We are bringing trainings to these women in these communities, not only women, but all of them. But most especially, we focus on the women and the girls in these communities, the most underserved communities where these government people who are looking for votes will not even want to go to because they know if they give them a matchbox, they'll give them the vote. That is where we are going because that's where the violence is the most. That's where the women believe men should work. That's where the women believe I pay school fees for my girl because she has a dad. That's why women believe I'll be beaten because I need supper. If I leave, I'll not get something with my children. That is where Muala is today. We have visited these communities. We are teaching them that as a woman, you need to be independent. How? They will stand up and say, I'm not educated. I cannot look for a job. How am I going to be able to not depend on my husband? We are giving them these income generating skills that can be done anywhere with very small income. What are these skills? We're giving them skills like baking. We teach them how to bake small things like mandazi that they can sell in their community, get some money. We're teaching them how to make wine. We're teaching them how to do leather, make shoes. And as Muala, we get the products that they have made, take them to our market, connect them to the people we know. We also use online. We sell these products for them, get this money and give it back to them. It encourages them to work harder. So when this one, I know a woman, when we started coming to this community, today we're in Nachi Valley, and one woman had endured, I think, the most violence because the husband, she came from Rwanda, she was a refugee, and when she reached to the settlement, she came with 3 children. She got a man because she didn't have where to stay. She didn't have a house. She needed to look after her 3 children, so she got a man. This man comes home when he's drunk and beat her up, including the 3 children who are girls, and making matters worse, sleeps with the oldest, who is 15 years now, in her presence when she's. But what can she do? The community will not help her. The government is not going to help her because they'll say she has no proof. Very sad. We came in, and of course, when she talks, if my daughters are going to beat her, what can the neighbors do? The best they can do when she gets out, they only say, sorry about that. Can I give you a bottle of water? Is your daughter okay? How can we help her? That's all they can do. But when that thing is happening, they cannot help her in any way. So she's asking herself, I cannot look after my children. I cannot leave. I have to endure whatever suffering I'm going through. We came in, picked her up with her girls, we took her girls for leather making and taught her how to bake. Today, she left the man. She feeds her children. She takes her children to school. She pays their school fees herself. From the money that these girls make from these products that they make, they combine it with the ones that she makes from the baking, and also she also does some wine making. She joins other communities in the wine making, and after a sale, they divide the money. Oh my God. Today, she is an example to all the women in the community. It's from her that some other person would say, if Naila can do this, I can do this too. If Naila can feed her children and take them to school, I can do this too. So yes, that's what we are doing, giving them these skills, teaching them that you can. And also we encourage them to take up leadership positions. Yes, currently we have 4 candidates who are women contesting in these elections, which is a very, very, very big milestone. Because at least they will come out to stand out for the rights of the women who are suffering who cannot speak on behalf of others. So yes, that's what I think.
Okay, thank you very much. That's quite an inspiring story. And it's a good thing that the lady you picked up with her 3 children from the house of an abuser is now a role model who other ladies can look at and try to emulate and serve as an inspiration for them to, find something doing to become more independent. But let's talk a little bit about those who are going through some of these things and that your organization have not come across, or probably not too far from where your organization exists, that they've not been able to get some listening ear. Do you in your trainings advise the neighbors of people who abuse girls, who abuse women, who carry out gender-based violence in their homes or around their vicinity, on the right thing to do? If you say they reported to the police and the police is asking for proof, at least there will be some other time where the act is taking place, and if the police station is within the community, they can call the police immediately for them to come over. Or is there no government-based organization apart from yours that can intervene directly to show example of taking these men to court so that it can serve as a deterrent to others?
Yes, they're there. There's an organization that takes after women's rights, but still, getting to them is a problem. And you see, the problem is these culprits that do these things have connections to the police. They will arrest them, and trust me, within 3 days, they'll be out. So it's a very big problem.
Okay. So I want to ask, let's talk about the reusable pads that you're producing. How does it boost the confidence of women in the society?
So in the society that we are working in, where we are having our field project, our reusable pads are helping a lot, because you see, these are people who cannot afford a packet of pads every month. If you have these kind of girls who would want to use close to 3 packets every month, which is not going to be possible because they cannot afford them. So with our reusable pads, these are pads that are going to buy once at a cheap price and then use them for close to 12 to 6 months. So having them, at least they know, they are sure of, next month I have something to use, the next month I have something to use. So they have this dignity in them. They are very proud. They're not going to suffer anymore. And also, while we give them these reusable pads, we also teach them how to make them, so that in case yours gets a problem, you can quickly make for yourself one that is convenient for a meantime. You use that one as we come in the next month to give you more. So yes, I think having these reusable pads, being able to afford them, and when you're clean, like when you wake up in the morning and you bathe, you look good, you smell good, you come out and you feel like, yes, I am moving out. So when this woman comes out, she knows she's safe. She knows she's not going to stamp and everyone is going to be looking at her like, oh, what do you have on your skirt? Your skirt is dirty. It boosts her confidence to move out and work. It boosts her confidence that a man will not talk back at her or tell her, you want to have a pad at the end of the month? We go to my bedroom. So yes, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. And well, let me ask it from this. I have so many questions to ask, but let me just ask this. Your organization, how do you get sponsorship? Because you carry out lots of activities, caring for the girls, trying to get them the menstrual products, and also sometimes you take them out for skills acquisition, you teach them a whole lot of things. You take them to the market, you make sure they get some form of employment. For those who are able to produce something, you make sure you get a market for them so they can sell their products. How do you function? How do you sustain yourself in carrying out these benevolent activities? Or does your organization make any gain from it?
Well, for the 3 years we have been in existence, we have been in existence for 3 years, though we have formally and legally registered our organization this year. But for all the 3 years we have been in the field, we apply for grants from different organizations, and God has been good. At least we get grants to help us in running our organization. And also we partner with different hospitals, whereby at the end of the month, some of the hospitals want to do charity, and we bring them to our communities to also come in and help us. And also, from the sale of these our products that these women make, so a percentage goes to the organization to always help
Esther.
So I was saying, apart from the grants that we always apply for, we have partnerships with some organizations that make these different products, and also we from the sale of the products that our women make in our communities, a percentage comes back to our organization, and also to help us support the materials that they'll be using, and also pay the different trainers who come in to train them, the counselors who come in to talk to them. Yes, and also we also have a hand sometimes from the government when we apply for a grant from the government and it goes through. And since now we are in election period, we always have partnerships with these leaders that are contesting. They always come in and give us a hand.
Thank you so much. Now we will talk about supporting women or against violence, eliminating violence. One major key players are the community leaders, cultural people who hold on to culture and traditions of the land. When we talk about eliminating violence against women now, talking whether sexual abuse or domestic violence, because most of the people in our community or most of the community leaders are men. They are the ones holding the tradition. They are the ones holding the culture, because some of them believe that beating a woman is an African way of life. What is their response? How do they respond when you come to them talking about eliminating violence, talking about supporting the girl child or the woman during her menstrual cycle?
Unfortunately, it is very sad that the communities we are in today, when we talk about violence of beating women, some of them will see that as something normal. So when you get to them and you say, we're talking about this man who has been beating his wife night and day, they'll say, hey, that is a family issue. Why are you involving yourself in it? This family should go and sort themselves out. Of course, they'll call the man, so that you don't say they didn't work on it. They'll call the man and the woman and they'll say, apologize to your wife. And that is where it stops. Will that from beating the woman the next day? No. So unfortunately, I've not seen community leaders come in, because some of them believe, okay, a man who is a man should discipline his wife once or twice. They believe that is disciplining his wife. When we talk about sexual violence, we've had cases where we've seen, recently there's been a video circulating where a father was sleeping with his 5-year-old daughter. Very sad. That video went everywhere, and when it got to the leaders of the community, we got to find out that one leader came out and was protecting the man. He's the one who was telling the man, they're looking for you here. Don't come back to the village. Find somewhere. And now, what are we trying to solve now? If you, the community leader, cannot help us find the culprit, sometimes it's hard for us also. The community, our leaders are not helping us. There are leaders, when we talk about menstrual dignity, there is a family where I know the head of the family is a local council leader. When her daughter is in her period, she doesn't leave the house. Tells her, you have to hide. People are not supposed to see you. That day she won't go to school. For the 3 days she's in her period, she won't leave the house. You will not see her out. So what type of leaders? I feel like we need to sensitize our leaders more. We need different trainings to also teach our leaders about violence, gender-based violence. We still have men, big people who believe women are not supposed to go to work. We've gone to these communities, and when we reach a family, sometimes we have to ask for permission from the men. You can take someone's wife for your training, but comes back and she's beaten because of you. So sometimes we have to go to these families and request the men, please, we are carrying out this training. We are going to train your wife in this and this and this. And he'll probably, no. And then you want my wife to get money and she'll start ruling over me. That is what you want. That's what you want, my wife. That's what you're putting the girls in our community. And these are elders, our elders.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Wow, that was deep.
Okay, but let's talk about Uganda, and let's talk about the government in Uganda.
Yeah.
I have seen that Uganda does not have the Ministry of Women Affairs, but it does have the Ministry of Gender, Labor, and Social Development, which handles cases that have to do with women issues as part of its broader mandate on gender equality, social protection, and community development. And we also have the United Nations Population Fund, the United Nations Human Rights Commission, and we also have the United Nations Science and Education Development Program, that's UNICEF. So let's start from Uganda itself. The Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. Are they providing any solution? Does any of this report get to the government through that ministry? And also, have you gotten any support from any of the United Nations organizations?
Yes, please. We have, for example, we had a notorious case that really needed the government to intervene because the culprit was friendly to everyone in the community, every big person in the community. So we had to involve the ministry, and yes, it was very helpful. The culprit was taken, and at least for that close to 3 months, we did not have issues. And actually, they also came out to say if these trainings have come and they have registered with the community leaders, let the women go, let the girls go, attend these trainings, gain these skills, and let them also contribute something. They've also had different trainings from the ministry. They come out and say, we are bringing this training from the ministry. So it's a must for all women in this community to attend. So that has also been helping. And also UNICEF has been helping. At least it has helped fund some of our projects.
Okay.
So in that way, it has come to our aid.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so looking ahead, looking at 10, 15 years from now, how do you see a community or a violent-free community in Africa if we can actually eliminate or reduce to the barest minimum the violence against women and the girl child? What kind of society do you see?
For a minute, I thought I'd gone to heaven because the society I was seeing is, oh my God. I am seeing a society where there is no girl that has to miss school for 3 months because of not having pads. I am seeing government come in and also have these projects like a pad for every girl, part of the budget that is coming out. Like the pads are supposed to be in their budget. Like though we have, unfortunately, sometimes we have projects where the government comes out and distributes condoms to the people. So I'm seeing a government where our pads in the budget and these different schools every term, especially those that are deep in the villages where they can't afford to have those pads, can receive pads and they have that dignity, they are healthy. Wow. I'm seeing a community where women can be leaders and no one is going to say, no, you're a woman, you're supposed to contest for this position. You cannot go for this position. You cannot go for that position. They can sit on a table and discuss with the men and come to a decision, also help in the decision making. I am seeing a society where women are great entrepreneurs. Because I really feel like women can be really, really great entrepreneurs. Because they have this soft tongue, they can convince better than the males. So I'm seeing a very, very great society.
All right. Thank you so much, Esther Agaba. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Just Africa. And she is a Uganda social entrepreneur, reshaping what protection and empowerment can look like at community level. Through her enterprise, Muwala Sanitary Services, Esther is breaking the link between menstrual poverty and exposure to violence by producing affordable sanitary products, from reusable pads to anti-splash toilet kits that give girls dignity, consistency, and autonomy. Once again, thank you very much, Esther Agaba, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
You're welcome.
Priya? Yes. I love one thing she said. The boys are trained to even go out distributing these parts. That is the good side. Now, the heartbreaking aspect for me is the fact that the people who hold on to our culture, to our customs, are still not seeing the reason for the protection of the woman as regarding violence. What society do you think we are going to have if we keep having those kind of men?
Okay, but first of all, we have to talk about the level of development and civilization that exists in different African countries. And in Nigeria, we know to a specific level, the level of development and how the men in the society see the women and how the women in society see the men. And not just that, from also a religious perspective, in regards to religion, Christianity, Islam, the traditional worshippers, how they see the place of women in the society. It's very, very important. Do they see women as the gender that is subjected to an inferior position, that have no say in society? Do they see women as a gender in society that only had to go work and earn a living when the man in the house gives the order or gives the permission? How do they perceive, how do they see women? It's a very, very strong case. So the thing is, with regards to different level of development in society, we will see these traces move. And for Nigeria, we've conquered a whole lot of things, but when we begin to go straight down into the villages where development and civilization have not really gotten to, we can still see the footprints and the traits of all this. Even though the guest we spoke with is not from Nigeria, but we can see the gory details of the stories she painted somewhere in Uganda. And it's so obvious that, yes, to a level, Uganda is a civilized nation in the continent of Africa, but we can still tell that in some of the remote areas in the villages, issues like this are taking place, are happening. And that is why the government needs to empower that specific ministry of gender, labor, and social development, which is almost like the same ministry. When we're talking about Ministry of Women Affairs in Nigeria and every other country, we need to empower them, not only to assist with the kind of assistance and support you give to women and girls in the city. In Uganda is different from the kind of support and assistance you give to women and girls inside the villages in those places. You don't just only give them sanitary pads. You don't just go teach them and to create an awareness of or try to create an awareness or impact on them menstrual dignity. That you have to also make sure that they are skilled. You have to give them education and skill acquisition programs for them to develop them to a level of independence where they are financially independent. And obviously, for some of the stories she painted, when some of these girls are facing this stage, this menstrual stage, the men folk in some of this community use it as a bargaining chip to abuse them. So we must begin to address all these areas and block those loopholes and to let them know that, look, if you have a challenge like this, these are the relevant organizations, and they need to establish in some of this local government, in those rural communities, like in local government in Nigeria, you have the medical departments too in different local government. They need to replicate same in their own local government and to empower that specific department for meeting the specific needs of the girl child and the ebb of society, and also empower them economic wise so they can be somewhat independent.
Yes.